if, someone's getting married on Saturday and they file bankruptcy today, could it stop the marriage?
No.
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 So if Matt or you decide to file bankruptcy today, you could still go forward with the marriage.
We could, and the only issue would be the change in circumstances, which you would have to report on your bankruptcy papers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That all of a sudden you got married.
Yeah.
You know what? It's an interesting question because I get that question a lot. Hey, I'm getting married next week. I need to file bankruptcy. Should I file bankruptcy before I get married or after I get married? Hi, this is attorney Jamie Miller, and I'd like to welcome you to another Miller Law Chronicles podcast. I'm here with my partner, Deborah Stencel. How are you today, Deborah?
I am wonderful. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for joining me today and for just being that special person that just adds wonderful light and great information and positivity to this podcast that we're doing every week.
Thank you.
So you're getting married this weekend, right? So is it Saturday?
It is Saturday.
Today's the 10th.
Yep.
So on the 12th.
On the 12th.
And you're getting married in your backyard, your dad's backyard?
Where's my father and his wife live here in town, and we are getting married in their backyard. Dad isn't so mobile, so that seemed like a very convenient place to do it.
That's so nice. And who's officiating?
A judge, a local judge from the county judge.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah, she's great.
And you are marrying, we don't need to go into detail, but we can say his name is Matt.
Yeah.
But Matt is also a lawyer.
Right.
So you and I have many things in common. And I'm married to a lawyer also. And Matt does criminal law.
Right.
And my wife does criminal law. She works for the public defender office now. I think I told you that.
I keep meaning to bring it up with you because they keep mentioning it to me. And I'm like, I got to talk to Jamie about that. That's exciting that she's there now.
Isn't that? Yeah, I'm very excited. She's really enjoying it. And it's a good thing. So you're excited. The wedding's this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
The weather is going to be perfect.
We hope so.
Have you seen the weather forecast for the weekend?
Yeah, there's some talk of clouds, but I can deal with clouds, but the very, very low chance of rain. It should be about 60 degrees. We planned it to be just about 45 minutes before sunset, so there's nice light. And we're under a tree that came from my brother's a seedling from my brother's backyard like 25 years ago. And so we're going to do it under my brother's tree.
And what are you doing like special as part of the ceremony that's kind of makes it your own?
Funny you should ask. The judge who's marrying us is someone that Matt has appeared before in criminal court. And he thought it would be really funny to precede the vows with a colloquy. So he rewrote what a judge says to a client who is pleading guilty. Is this a knowing and informed decision? Did anybody pressure you? It's very goofy.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's very goofy. We are doing our own vows. That's too much for us. But we rewrote the vows to make them make sense for us because we've been together so long. So it's like, will you love this person? Will you continue to love this person? That kind of stuff. And I'm surprised about this, but I did add a line that we would continue to support each other's hopes and aspirations because that's really not in traditional vows. And I think that's important. So...
Yeah, and that's an important line that, that's really critical. And it's one of those things, it's kind of easy to say on your wedding day, but if you really think about it, it can be a challenge to really follow through with that after you're married.
It's true. It's true because it's a lot, it's a lot to take care of a person's emotional needs. And, when they have that goofy dream, it's to be there for them. It's work, man.
I think it's even more challenging when you're marrying someone that has aspirations to be a comedic actor and is filling that and is doing that, as things move along.
I think it is tough on him because he has to sit through a lot of stuff or help me learn lines or deal with the fact that I might want to leave town to go do a thing and then I'm just not there. So, but he's been pretty great about that stuff. Also, not making, getting paid $12 for a show and spending all that time on it is tough for him to understand.
It's your passion.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, we hire, here at Miller, we just hired a new lawyer to work in the Chapter 13 department. Have you been told about that?
I have. I wasn't sure it was set. Set.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
set, and I believe she's starting on Tuesday.
Oh,
And I had the privilege of getting to meet her and get to know her, but she's just a very interesting person. She went to Northwestern Law School. Do you know anything about her?
I had heard she went to Northwestern, and I was, I'm a snob, so I was impressed by that. It's a top 10 law school. That's pretty exciting. So,
Right. But she's a concert violinist by training.
oh, so
Did
she'll
you
have,
see that?
I didn't see that, but now I know she'll have something in common with Ben, who is a
Yes.
cellist.
Ah, and so it's interesting because when I interview people, I want to interview people to see if they have the skills to work as a lawyer in our firm. But whenever I see someone that has such a different interest than that, than,
Mm.
law, I spent like a half an hour talking about her violin play, and I was very impressed. So she may not be able to succeed as a lawyer, but I was impressed enough to hire her because I know she could play the violin. So did when I was in law school, I went to law school at the University of Miami in Florida, and I had an opportunity to clerk for a law firm called Broad and Cassell.
Okay.
Now, Broad and Cassell is probably the biggest law firm in Miami.
Huh.
And, the people that get those jobs, those summer clerkships, are like the top 1% of the class.
Mm-hmm.
I was not the top 1% of my class, but I got the job because I got the summer clerkship. And my interview I am not joking about this, it took 5 minutes and I got the job.
What did you do?
So the person that interviewed me, his name was Joel Einhorn, who was probably, and this is a big firm, he did white collar crime
Okay.
and grad school, saw on my resume that I went to the University of Wisconsin. And that was the only thing that mattered to him. So I went in for the interview and he was a partner and he made the decision. He goes, I see you went to undergrad at UW. Tell me what you did, where you hung out. And he said, you're hired. And he pushed me off on one of the associates to kind of meet a few other people. But it's interesting when you're applying for a job that, those little things that just make the difference.
That was so
I
hard.
left you speechless.
Yeah, well, no, I was just thinking about I wasn't very good about interviewing back then because I hadn't grown up enough to learn how to have a conversation. And that's all you're doing is having a conversation and meeting some people and letting them see your joy and your
Right,
personality and who you are. And I didn't figure that out until much, much later. So those interviews were so stressful in law school because I just felt like I was sitting there going, well, you've got my resume. Why do you need to talk to me? No, you need to find out who I am.
right. Yeah. All right, let's talk about bankruptcy and fun stuff like that. So today's topic of the day, I want to talk about the automatic stay and kind of go into that. And the automatic stay is an injunction. So it's a stop. When someone files bankruptcy, it stops collection efforts, it stops it doesn't stop criminal proceedings, but it stops any collection efforts, garnishments, foreclosures, repossessions, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really kind of get out of jail card when we file for bankruptcy. And it's something that's really important because our clients come to us and they ultimately file bankruptcy when, something crazy has happened. No one wants to file bankruptcy, but it definitely, it's the one of those triggering events, and it's the automatic stay that offers them the relief that they
Mm-hmm.
need, right? So tell me about your feelings, emotionally about the automatic stay and how it impacts people.
I think it's magical. I cannot think of an equivalent in any other area of life except for maybe the time I had an injury on the 4th of July and I was in great pain. And I went to this emergency room and they gave me medicine and I stopped being in pain. That's the only equivalent. And it was a beautiful thing. I was like, what is this stuff? That's the only equivalent I can think of in life to the bankruptcy stay. People in debt live with this buzz of stress and worry in the back of their minds and in their pits of their stomachs for months and years. And the second you file a bankruptcy, it's like this magical blanket is wrapped around you and it stops. It stops. It's the stuff that can go away goes away, and then everything else you can deal with better. And the law isn't always that efficient. It isn't always that helpful. And so I think it's magical.
Yeah, it's a beautiful description because we see people that come in that are so stressed and I just had a call this morning with somebody that says they're coming to pick up my car. They filed a repossession lawsuit against me. And in today's world, it used to be that, when you had a car up for repossession, it's hard to find the car, but now there's these trackers on the cars.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be anywhere. And how paranoid can you be when you're going to the grocery store, you're going in for a haircut, and to wonder whether you're going to come out and your car is going to be on a tow truck, or the embarrassment of that.
Mm,
But the filing of the bankruptcy, that injunction stops all of that right away,
right.
which is really important. But there's some situations that it doesn't stop. So let's talk about that a little bit. Maybe you can, I think, and I just had this come up yesterday. I can expound upon it, but how about in divorce and support issues? Someone's filing bankruptcy and they have a pending contempt hearing, right? So someone goes through a divorce. They have a divorce order that requires that they transfer the house to their spouse as part of the divorce decree. And they don't do it. They're just don't go through it. And there's a contempt hearing for something like that. How's the automatic stay impact something like that?
Well, it certainly doesn't, the bankruptcy doesn't fix that problem. And I don't believe that filing a bankruptcy would stop that hearing either. I think that your better bet probably is to consult with an attorney who can guide you through the steps of getting out of trouble in divorce contempt or family court to contempt. Yeah, it's magical, but it's not everything, right? Or maybe it's not perfect. I don't know. I tell people a lot of times, there are limits. You have responsibilities. You have to be realistic. For instance, a lot of times people think, oh, if I file Chapter 7, can I keep my car? Well, sure. Well, do I have to pay for it? Yes. If you owe money on a car, you have to pay for it in one way, shape, or form. The bankruptcy isn't going to get rid of the debt and let you keep a car that you owed money on. That's a secured debt. That's not how that works. It could help you get rid of your credit cards and medical bills so you can now afford your car payment. But
Right.
it's not great for evictions either, the automatic stay. And the automatic stay will stop an eviction hearing, but it's like a Band-Aid. It's not going to permanently make it so you can stay in that apartment. It might allow you a little more time. It might allow you a chance to cure your default. But if you can't cure your default, or even if you can, your landlord doesn't have to let you stay there indefinitely. They might not want to renew just because you've been in trouble. So
Right.
it's not the cure all for eviction problems, rent problems.
Yeah, and that there, and again, just like the divorce scenario, also the eviction scenario, it's very nuanced. So you need to talk to a lawyer because, you know, we're not giving legal advice here. But if you come to us and say, I'm facing an eviction, my landlord took me to court and has a judgment for eviction, and Eagle Movers is coming tomorrow. Can I file bankruptcy and stop that? The answer to that question could be different than, I got my 5-day notice. So, it's really important to speak with a lawyer because we really need to look behind the scenes and see where you are. And so let's say, I file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and I have my Kia Altima, 2022, and I'm behind on the payments. What can the creditor do within that Chapter 7 if they don't want to wait the whole 90 days to try to repossess that car?
Right. So any entity or person who is a creditor can ask for relief from the automatic stay. The motion, there's generally a 2-week notice period, and that would require the debtor or the bankruptcy filer to object to get a court hearing. And in a 7, if you are not up to date on the car payments and they file that motion, they're probably going to win. And all that means is it takes the car out of the bankruptcy and allows the creditor to proceed with repossession or to sue you. But it also allows them to work it out with you as well. So there's always a possibility of an upside on a motion for relief.
Right. And it also doesn't stop criminal proceedings.
No.
But what happens if I'm facing a tax obligation, like I'm getting garnished by the state or the IRS? Will the automatic stay those collection efforts?
Yes, temporarily. Right. So if you are being garnished or levied for income taxes and you file Chapter 7, which generally only lasts 3 months, and those taxes that you're being garnished for may not be dischargeable in that Chapter 7. So you're still going to owe them when the bankruptcy's over. So they can just start again. But again, that reprieve might give you a chance to get on the phone and work out a payment plan that is cheaper than being garnished. So the break is sometimes enough to save your cookies.
Right. And what if I'm separated from my spouse and divorce is pending and I file bankruptcy? Can I still proceed with the divorce? Does the automatic stay stop that at all?
Maybe. It's a lawyer's favorite word. It depends.
Yeah.
So when you divorce, the jurisdiction, I guess, over the couple who don't want to be together, often you can just ask for motion for relief from the stay on your own behalf to proceed with divorcing, and that would be granted. But what if in your divorce you're fighting over assets and who should pay the debts? That is more related to what's going on in the bankruptcy. And so the bankruptcy may stop that conversation or court hearings. And a lot of state court judges, if they know a bankruptcy is happening, will just continue a divorce matter until it's over.
Right. And I think the divorce court in state court, understand bankruptcy is in federal court, but I think in state court, that anytime a state court judge sees a notice of a bankruptcy in a civil action, they're going to take pause and often will defer to the bankruptcy court to kind of see that direction. So what if someone's getting married on Saturday and they file bankruptcy today? Could it stop the marriage?
No.
No. So if Matt or you decide to file bankruptcy today, you could still go forward with the marriage.
We could, and the only issue would be the change in circumstances, which you would have to report on your bankruptcy papers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That all of a sudden you got married.
Yeah.
You know what? It's an interesting question because I get that question a lot. Hey, I'm getting married next week. I need to file bankruptcy. Should I file bankruptcy before I get married or after I get married? I don't think there's any right answer, but if you have debt and you are contemplating filing bankruptcy and you are getting married, that's an important conversation to have.
Yes.
So I'm glad you inspired me, always, but you inspired that question. But I appreciate your time today, as always.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure.
You just bring joy to the conversation. You're a great partner. And I know that you're going to take some time off and enjoy your time off. Enjoy your wedding, your wonderful wedding day. May it be peaceful and have a beautiful weather. You and Matt are just a great couple and lots of exciting things too. I'd say best of luck, but I don't think best of luck is an appropriate thing, because if two people work on it, you don't need luck. You'll figure it out.
Thank you, Jamie. I
And
agree.
all right. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Any parting words?
No, just be careful out there. Watch out for flying trees and
I know.
bad weather, and think good thoughts for those folks going through that, I guess.
My sister lives in Sarasota
Oh,
and survived the storm very well. She's without power, and her generator has kicked in, and so she's in good shape.
excellent. Good news. All right.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.